An investigative report from a local San Diego TV station, KNSD, revealed that the U.S. government kept a secret dossier of more than 50 people, many of them American citizens that they deemed to be organizers, coordinators, instigators, or even just media assisting in the migrant caravans heading to the southern border. This list sparking outrage now and drawing comparisons with McCarthyism of the 1950s. Joining us now to discuss this disturbing story, immigration attorney Allen Orr and investigative journalist Ben Swann. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us today. Very important topic. So this list was accompanied by this dossier on all these various people from various professions, folks like you and I, lawyers, journalists. Allen, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on this? Why would the government add attorneys to this list?
Well, it's all part of the crackdown on trying to stop people from filing for asylum and getting asylum and having appropriate representation from lawyers. So people were actually kicked out of or deported from Mexico from our association, the American Immigration Lawyers Association, February 1st. And that's when we first noticed this. There were a group of people who were doing humanitarian work, helping people with asylum cases that were removed from Mexico. And that's what sort of tipped all this off.
Wow. And now, Ben, your take on this as a journalist, I mean, would this be a means to kind of curtail coverage?
Well, it seems like it. I mean, not only were journalists being included on this list, but they were being detained by customs agents, including 2 photojournalists who were detained, one of them for 14 hours. The other one was questioned for several hours and refused entry into Mexico. Their names were on the list. And here's the other point, is that dossiers were apparently being compiled on each of these individuals, including at least 10 journalists who had dossiers compiled by the U.S. government.
But now authorities are saying that they were simply collecting information as evidence on these folks because there was a chance that they might have committed criminal acts such as breach of the border wall, etc. First of all, Ben, do you buy that?
No, absolutely not. First of all, they claim that all the people, Customs and Border Protection, after this story came out, released a statement saying that they essentially were just collecting information on people who were around when violent acts were committed. And then they clarified even further, let me read this to you, saying that with the journalists themselves, that they needed to track journalists to learn more about what started the violence, as if the journalists had information that CBP could use. Well, all they'd have to do was ask for it, not compile a secret list targeting them.
Now, Allen, as an immigration attorney, put on your legal hat here. If an American journalist, say, breached the wall, as CBP says, to show, vulnerability or something like that for their story, could that warrant such monitoring from DHS or CBP, Border Patrol, even the FBI?
No, absolutely not. It is their job as journalists to be there to record the stories for you and I to be able to evaluate the situations as Americans or as citizens of whatever country we belong to. So this is a little bit more than McCarthyism. This is really closer to J. Edgar Hoover's list that he kept when he started the FBI as what he would call people who are conversive of the state. So this is very dangerous, and the journalists have an absolute right to be there, as well as the lawyers have a right to be there, as these individuals are seeking legal entry into the United States.
How fearful should we be, not only as, attorneys like you on this list, journalists like me, Ben, anyone out there, members of the media, how concerned should we be in terms of our civil rights being violated there? You
should be very concerned. And if you watched the hearings yesterday from the Homeland Security officer, there was a congressional person who said they too were almost detained at the border, that people had been detained in the past. They were almost detained in the future. And when they were at the border and they were trying to record someone being turned away seeking asylum, they were told they had to shut down their phone or it would be taken from them. So you should be very concerned about these operations, these dark operations.
And Ben, they say that this conduct falls under the umbrella of Operation Secure Line. That was put into place to monitor these caravans. Does this sound like the Patriot Act for the border? They can just do anything?
Well, I think they do think they can do absolutely anything. But again, you have to listen to the wording. When Customs and when Homeland Security starts talking about operational security, what they're essentially saying is that they can control any behavior that they don't like simply on the basis of referring to it as operational security. And as Allen pointed out, that's absolutely untrue. The bottom line is that journalists have the right to record. They have the right to report on whatever they're seeing, especially when they are in a place, a public public place that entails no expectation of privacy. There is no expectation of privacy along the border as migrants travel to the border to cross. And so the idea that they're going to give away some kind of vulnerability is almost laughable.
And Allen, given your area of expertise in law, there's all this recent news about babies that are still stuck in DHS custody. Many of them still under the age of 1. They are literally babies, still not reunited with their parents, still in DHS custody. What is the holdup? Why are they not reunited?
The government. The government doesn't have the desire, the willpower, or they didn't take the front end to sort of make sure they could reunite these families. So it's really just about desire. It's not about money and effort. We're the largest nation. We are the strongest. If we wanted to figure out something, we could. So it's really just about having the willpower to do it. And even the courts already sort of enforced our government to sort of talk about it. It was talked about again yesterday in the hearing with the Homeland Secretary that it shouldn't have happened in the first place. But it's a deplorable humanitarian crisis that we are separated families and such small kids who still need their mothers for nourishment.
Right. And Ben, you've covered a lot of these border stories yourself. Can you speak to that? Seeing children being taken away, seeing families coming through, is what we're hearing from the mainstream media, is that true? Is this some sort of some other crisis other than humanitarian?
No, I think that what we're seeing on the border right now, and what we have seen on the border for decades, quite frankly, is a very serious humanitarian situation. I've talked about this before, Manila, and you know that it goes far beyond just how customs is behaving. So the idea that only customs is the problem is not true. There are coyotes who smuggle people across the border, take incredible advantage of people. There are families who have fallen victim to traffickers on both sides. And so there is a very serious situation there. However, Customs and Border Protection, Homeland Security does not improve that situation in any way by denying people their legal rights, by denying people legal opportunities, or denying the media or journalists the ability to cover these stories. It simply only degrades a situation that it doesn't need to be degraded any more than it is. It needs to be vastly improved and quickly.
All right, certainly going to be an ongoing story. Gentlemen, thank you for spending some time sharing your insights with us. Allen Orr, Ben Swann, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.